The glamping and unique holiday rental industry is all about doing things differently. It's not about following what everyone else is doing. And that's why I'm so super excited to introduce to you today Max McMurdo, who I met at the glamping show. Now, Max is also known as Mad Max, the upcycling design expert, and he does not disappoint in this interview, where we talk about Land Rover hot tubs to make your site unique. We also talk about helping street kids in Kenya and cleaning up plastic from our seas. Welcome to episode 19. Glamping and unique holiday rentals are surging in popularity with the growing desire of customers to book holidays that deliver an experience. They are also the new business of choice for those wanting to improve their work-life balance. So how do you build a strong business like this that gives you the life you need and a great investment? I'm Sarah Riley, and I want to share what I've discovered after being immersed in this industry for over 20 years to inspire you to find out more about what's going on. Welcome. This is the business of glamping and unique holiday rentals. Hello and welcome to the show. It's really great to be back again. I've just been on a whirlwind tour of central England and I'm feeling exhausted. So much talking and chatting and just getting to know people and getting to know their projects. And it's one of those things that I love about trade shows and I cannot do it enough. But oh my goodness me, I am absolutely shattered by the time I get back. But back here now with my family and my business and getting things back in order and reflecting really on things that happened while I was away. Oh, I love hanging out with people who are so positive and upbeat and just really striving for great things in their life and in their business. And yes, for me, that's what I find inspiring. But even more brilliantly, I managed to hang out with the Mad Max and oh, what a treat that was. Max is an upcycling guru and the things he produces, you could not believe what he actually had at the glamping show this time. Half Land Rover, half hot tub, half kettle. It really was quite surprising and brilliant and sparked so many conversations and discussions about what was possible with recycling and upcycling. And that's what I love about what Max does. It really does make us think differently. So who is Max? Well, he's been in The Dragon's Den with Deborah Meaden and Theo Paphitis, which is equivalent to the Shark Tank in America. But Max found his fame really from George Clarke's Amazing Spaces, and he wowed us in that show with the ability to overcome major obstacles. One being that he had to cut a shipping container in half because he couldn't fit it in the way he'd hoped to fit it. And, well, you'll have to watch the show to find out how that one went. But we love what he does. He's also hung out with Kirsty Allsop, Sarah Beanie, Sarah Moore, so many people. And now he is in Find It, Fix It, Flog It, and also Be My Guest. These are two big shows for this industry and we love what he does. Now he's talking about his project, which is the bottle blocks. It's his concept in recycling, which is also helping to clean the oceans and helping with construction in developing countries. Now this is all stuff I absolutely support. I was interviewing him outside at the glamping show, which meant there were a few challenges with weather and with sound, so do please excuse the background noise. But I will leave you to spot the moment when the wind whipped up my dress and pretty much gave Max a bit more than he was expecting while he was being interviewed. But I decided not to edit it out because, hey, you know, nobody's perfect and it's a bit of a laugh. So without further delays, here's the lovely Max. So Max, it's so amazing for you to be here and you always seem to support the glamping show. Why are you so supportive? Why do you love this so much?
Well, this is the 5th year, isn't it? You've been here every year too, right?
Yes, yeah.
So 5 years. Who'd have thought that the glamping show, which when I first found out about it the very first year, I remember thinking that's quite niche. Is there really a big exhibition show in glamping sector? It turns out, yes, there is, and every year it's kind of doubled in size. So the first year, it was really out of intrigue. I was a judge on Shed of the Year. It kind of made sense, because I'm not an architect, I'm just a small space designer, I guess, from my love of upcycling. It's kind of developed. But now I've got increasingly into small spaces, and that appears to be my new career. So the glamping show fits perfectly. I love the outdoors. I like the fact also that we're all more aware of mental health and relaxing and people's well-being. So this is the ultimate in terms of all of those things.
Absolutely, I love that, because so many people are suffering from overdosing on the internet and Wi-Fi and information overload, and we do need to unplug and get into nature.
Yeah.
And you used to live in a shipping container?
I still do.
Do you?
I was in my shipping container this morning before I came here.
Oh wow. So, and this is on a boat, is that right?
Yeah, it was a bet that George Clarke and I had from Amazing Spaces, that we were working together, and I told him that all architects were rubbish because they still use bricks, and the front door on my house wasn't as advanced as the front door on a car. You can buy a car for £7,000 that's got automatic central locking, it's got a CD player, it's got air conditioning, electric windows, and yet I buy a house for £170,000 and it's got none of those things. So he said, all right then, you do better, because I'm not an architect. I went, I will, I'm a product designer, we're better than architects. Turns out it wasn't quite as easy as I thought, but I basically bought a 40-foot shipping container, floated it on a pontoon system, and just designed it around how a human interacts with their home. So really stripped it back to when I get to the front door with bags of shopping, reusable bags, it must be added. What do I want? I don't want to be juggling my keys. I don't want to be taking off my shoes with nowhere to put them. How often do I use a dining table? So, for example, you walk in the front door, there's a little step to your right. You kick it with your outdoor shoes, it slides out, and your nice warm slippers are in there. So you step into the little drawer, you take off your outdoor shoes, you get into your warm slippers, and you've not had to bend down, you've still got your shopping bags in your hand. It's just little thoughtful ideas like that make my home a lot more homely.
Yeah, and multi-purposing things, I suppose. Everything has two purposes or more, hopefully.
Yes, it does, and there's a danger with that though. Quite often it's really usable and helps with your life, and then other times I get carried away. I'm like a child, as you may have noticed already, and I do things kind of for the sake of it. So, for example, in my house, in the lounge, the floor, you press a button and the floorboards come up and create a dining table. That I use maybe once a month. It wasn't really essential, but it makes me smile. It's like a James Bond villain's lair, and that brings out the child in me.
Is that kind of part of your inner child? Is that part of the reason why you do what you do?
Completely. And I'm unemployable now. I've been doing what I do for so long. I'm now 41. I don't own a suit, which is awkward for weddings and funerals, but I get away with it. We won't explain to people listening what just happened, but it involved a gust of wind in your dress. So I haven't grown up. I'm like Peter Pan, I guess, but I think you need that childish mindset in order to create some of the things I make.
Absolutely. And what can you describe today what you have here at the glamping show?
It's not that easy, is it? Basically, I've got an old Land Rover, stuck a wood-burning fire on the front of it and turned it into a hot tub.
I think it's stunning, amazing, and it is drawing a crowd. People are really excited and interested about it. And what is it? Is it for boiling a kettle? Is it for, what is it?
Exactly, and it's a talking point, and I think we didn't come here to sell them. We came here to be provocative and say, think outside the box. And that's my top tip with all these people who own glamping sites, is be unique, be brave, do something different that's going to attract a new audience, because you've got a lot of competition now. There's hundreds and thousands of glamping sites across the UK. You've got to do something that makes you stand out. So why not have a Land Rover wood-fired hot tub, eh?
Absolutely, and I think that's great advice. Absolutely, because the competition is increasing every year on year, and the only way to continue to have guests is to make sure you're offering either a different experience or something different on site, and I think that's brilliant advice.
Yeah, and as I just said in my talk, actually, it's all about social media as well. Unfortunately, we live in that world. Even when we're supposed to be unwinding and relaxing, we still take photos, typically square ones, to post on social media to tell our friends what a good time we're having, just in case they didn't check in yesterday. So I think there is, jokes aside, a really important part of having that unique thing genuinely, but also for marketing.
And you're all about upcycling and recycling. Why is that such a big passion for you?
I guess I was the result of, like, my parents were post-war babies. So my mum and dad grew up with extreme poverty. Post-war, they had nothing. My dad used to tell me about the story. He was one of 3 brothers, and they used to take it in turns every 3 weeks to get the top off their dad's boiled egg. Not the yolk, just the little white bit in the top. That was kind of how I was brought up, to really respect things, whether it was food or possessions, and make, do and mend was just a really important thing in our household. We would never throw anything out, and of course things used to be designed to be repaired. Now they're designed to be thrown away. So that's really important to me, and it's quite a nice thing to do from an emotional point of view, because you know that your designs are bettering the world, hopefully in some way or another.
And that's what got me really interested about what your new or current project is over in Africa, Kenya.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that.
So that came about kind of by accident. A friend of mine I used to go to school with, Paul Newman, he's now the Community Trust Manager at Derby County Community Trust. And he said to me for years, please come to Africa. We go out there. He's been going for 8 years now. He said, you'd be ever so useful, because we build schools, you're constantly upcycling in Africa. You can't go to a DIY store. It's all about make, do and mend, and using the tools that you have and the materials you have around you. And then last year I just thought, do you know what, now's the time, I'm ready for it. I had a bit more me time, so I've been very busy with work for the last few years. So I took 2 weeks out of my schedule, booked it in, and went to Kenya, and was just blown away. It's properly, I know everyone says things like that are life-changing and life-affirming and stuff, but they truly blow your mind. The poverty you witness there. They don't have running water, for example, in a school of 100 students, and they're all dehydrated. The whites of their eyes are really yellow. So one of the first things we did was just build a massive trench, a 50-metre trench, 8 volunteers. It was very hot, but you see those kids running around you as you're digging it. So there's the motivation right there in front of your eyes. We dug a trench, we put in the water pipes, which they couldn't afford to do. And we're talking a couple of £100, not thousands. Then we went to the water board, we got it turned on, and everyone was just crying with joy and tears of just emotion that you can't even experience in the UK, because suddenly children had never seen water coming out of a tap. We can't picture that, because we flush a toilet with drinking water. Yeah, and that's the biggest problem is, once you've been out there and volunteered on a project like that, you come back to the UK and get really frustrated, not just with other people's actions, but with your own actions and your own consumerism. And you've got to be careful not to get really upset. But I now go back every year. And the first year I witnessed something else, which was that there's 6,000 families live on the dump in Nakuru, where we go. And when I mean the dump, I mean absolutely, there's feces, there's dirt, there's grime, there's also plastic waste. And I couldn't believe these people were living like that, and they've got no possibility to generate income. So we're quite driven, self-motivated people, and in the UK we have opportunity to earn if we want it. Over there, even if you're like us and driven, there is no opportunity to generate an income. So that was one of the observations. The other one was that the classrooms we were building were just corrugated tin. Now we're leaning against, this is a shepherd's hut we're leaning against now, and that's probably got lovely natural timber on the outside, a wall of insulation, a vapour barrier, probably more insulation, an internal lining, and it's still quite warm in there. But in Africa, where the heat is far exceeding this, they've got one sheet of corrugated tin, and these students are already dehydrated with no water. So it's not a healthy learning environment, and we need to educate them, because that education is the key to them developing. So I thought, on one hand we've got the plastic bottles, and they're a waste problem going into the ocean and killing animals. On the other hand, we need insulation. We must be able to utilise the plastic bottles for insulation. So long story short, I invented a cardboard box, which sounds a bit lame now after that big build-up. Yeah. But it was designed just to hold 8 plastic bottles. It had a little handle mechanism that locks together. So it's like giant Lego, I guess. And I didn't know if it was going to work. It worked in my workshop. I got 10 prototypes made and made a little wall in my workshop and thought, oh, this could just work. But there was no way of really finding out apart from taking it to Africa. So I paid £1,000 extra hand luggage and bought those old, the really horrible laundry bags, the tartan plastic laundry bags.
Yes.
And I got 500, I got 50 in each bag, took 10 extra bags, and got 500 of these boxes. Imagine them at customs, like, what are you doing, sir? I said, I'm just sort of exporting boxes. They're just cardboard boxes, honestly, bear with me. So I got them into the country, and that was half the battle. And then we took them to the school and we explained the concept, which they didn't fully understand, I don't think, because then recycling isn't a phrase. Upcycling certainly doesn't knowingly exist as a phrase. They do it, but they don't realise in the UK we're slightly guilty of it being a fashionable thing, I think. So they allowed me to build a classroom. So we knocked out the timber frame, a lot thicker than they currently do. We put the corrugated tin on the outside, then we lined it with bottle blocks. So we filled all the boxes with the bottles, and each bottle we shoved in the soft plastic.
Oh, brilliant.
Lined it on the inside, and the difference was incredible. Not just for the thermal qualities, it was a lot cooler, but also the audio. The sound didn't travel. So previously between classrooms with a sheet of tin, you were interrupting each other's classes, and they were singing in one, you couldn't learn in the other. But now with this proper cavity wall insulation, it improved immensely. And it was a proper moment of I was just in floods of tears thinking, wow, design is the best thing in the world. I'm so lucky. I do something I love. I never go to work because I'm always working, but I love it so much it doesn't feel like work. And it's also life-changing. And 100 students over there, their life did improve because of an idea that was once in my head.
And a piece of cardboard.
Isn't that amazing? That simple. It's the most boring-looking, the worst-looking thing I've ever designed. Like, to photograph it as my favourite design I've ever created looks really rubbish, but actually it's the most life-changing. Okay, like the hot tub we see here today is fun, and somebody who owns a glamping site will buy it, hopefully, and they'll enable other people to enjoy their downtime. That's nice, and that's beneficial to the planet. We're not throwing things out, because that's made out of an old hot water cylinder, an old Land Rover, some old scaffolding, and a bit of old scaffold board. But the bottle blocks is taking a real big problem in society. Thousands of plastic bottles, because the joy of that was we were then able to go to the dump and say, we'll give you a penny per bottle. And all of these families just went, we'll do it. And within seconds, people were running around the dump for me, collecting these bottles, and we were able to pay them a really good living wage over there, and that enabled them to buy some food and to maybe get an extra blanket for the night. So it's just improving everyone's lives. And I'm coming to terms with the fact that I'm a social designer. I don't just like design, I like social design. You should always, in my opinion, be using the skills you have to improve other people's lives.
I love that. And living on the beach, as I do, we are constantly finding plastic on the beach, and it's soul destroying. We often are doing beach cleans and everything else in our community, and we get the things we find is crazy. But this is us sending our rubbish, our recycling, to other countries so that they deal with it.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you're actually giving them a solution of how they can use that as a material to build with.
Yeah, we're turning something that's really negative into something immensely positive.
Yeah, and plastic is at the forefront of a lot of people's minds now.
Yeah, it's a shame, really. I've got mixed feelings about plastic, because plastic in many ways is a phenomenal material. What a wonderful invention. If you think of syringes in the NHS and some of the artificial limbs we've built people, and even crumple zones in cars, the plastic front bumper has decreased the number of fatalities in the automotive world instead of a metal chrome plated one. So I don't want to just be negative towards plastic, but obviously single-use plastic used incorrectly is a bad thing, and we've got to consider what happens to it. But the fact we're even talking about it is fantastic. The fact that I think the last couple of years have been amazing. We're talking about the environment, we're talking about single-use plastic and packaging, we're talking about mental health. We're really, I know everyone's quite negative and depressed at the moment about society, and there's a lot of other issues going on, but we're in the right directions. I think the next generation are going to get it a lot more right than we did.
I do hope so. So, ending on a really positive note, as if that wasn't positive enough, but what have you noticed about the glamping kind of environment and the glamping community that you haven't noticed before? What have you noticed this year? Has there been anything that has stood out to you?
I think it's fair to say the first and second year there was a lot of similar items. It was kind of, you either had a tent or you had a shepherd's hut. There was one toilet available and maybe a solar panel. And it's just evolved into something phenomenal where people are turning up with all sorts of items you wouldn't imagine even belong in the glamping sector, let alone that are produced in the UK. There's a lot of British companies here. And I think that's fantastic. So you've got from solid fuel stoves to pizza ovens to toilets to hot tubs. There's everything here. That a lot of this stuff I'd want in my own home, let alone a glamping site. And it's lovely to see lots of like-minded people coming together. I don't believe, I did a talk earlier and I said, hands up if you're going into setting up a glamping site because you want to make bucket loads of money. And everyone just laughed because you know you're doing it for, quite often it's for the people who attend the glamping site are benefiting. But also a lot of these owners, they're diversifying farmers or they've been working in the city and they've burned their suits and they've bought an old plot of land somewhere or an old farm. So everyone's on a real high, on a positive, and we're all creating something beautiful at the end of it.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you so much, Max.
You're
amazing. And we're going to catch you on your next programme on TV. You have so many.
Yes. Yeah. We've got Find It, Fix It, Flog It. That's a beautiful show. We just get to play around with junk. And then the latest one's on Discovery, and it's called Be My Guest, and we get to do up some holiday homes, and that really references the glamping show so well.
Yeah, and I'll leave all the links in the show notes for everyone to follow. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the sunshine.
Thank you, and you. What
a gentleman Max was. He completely preserved my dignity and kept the interview flowing despite the kerfuffle caused by the wind. Now, I really enjoyed being out and about, and I plan to bring you more interviews over the coming months. I'm planning to do some case studies of some really successful businesses, and also to get out there and be in the businesses themselves and speaking to the owners direct wherever they are. This is really exciting, and I can't wait to share it all with you. In the meantime, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a thing, and hang out with me over in my Glamping Business Facebook group. All the links are in the show notes, www.inspiredcamping.com/019. Take care and see you soon.